All right, so this is the service provider training for the CCD. This just kind of gives an overview of what the purpose of the service tool is. So it's for you all, it's used for case management. So it's supporting you as you're providing all of the mobility services to families who have been assigned to CMRS in the Community Choice Demonstration. So it's everything from just like scheduling regular check-ins and contacts and recording those to entering information about the family background information wise, entering information like as the family goes through the services process, and then entering information about property owners and new units and sort of working on that side as well. Um, it allows the team lead to sort of assign families to different services staff and sort of manage the caseload of each staff. But that being said, you can see all families that are within your site. It's not just like you can only see the ones assigned to you. And then it's what we use for data collection. So it's pretty much the only source of data that we're going to have as we do the evaluation. So that's why it's important to have these types of trainings. It's important to make sure that you're entering information as accurately as you can, because you know, that's really where we get everything from how much interaction our families having with coaches to what are the search outcomes of families who go through all the phases, how many families are moving, how many families aren't moving, all of that information we get from the study tool. So it's important. I sort of just went over this, but it's used to document all service provision. It has household files, which are families who are assigned to CMRS. It has property owner files, so you manually enter a property owner profile, so to speak, when one is identified who's willing to participate in the program. And then unit. You enter units, whether they're available now or units that might be becoming available in the future. And then there are 7 phases. The first phase is enrollment. So everybody who you are going to have in the service tool will already be done with phase 1 and ready to move on with phase 2. So you all come in phase 2 all the way through to phase 7, which is the ending point. Um, this is kind of just visual idea of how it's structured. Like I said, you have families, you have owners, you have units. Each family owner unit has a report that's sort of like an ongoing log of activities and contacts that you're doing with them. And then they also have just like an information form, which is like a static record of background information about the family or about the owner. Um, the main interface, we call it a dashboard, and then it has different tabs for accessing each of those types of files. Um, there's also something called a contact form, which is what you fill out either during or immediately following an encounter with a family. And through the contact form is how you're going to be accessing household activities and owner activities. So activities are just like data entry forms that are directly associated with a CMRS activity that you will learn that you've learned about in the CMRS guide from First Pick. Um, these are just screenshots of what it looks like. I'm going to show you live, but just so you get a sense, this is kind of the main dashboard. So you see there's these different tabs for families, property owners, units, owner outreach. Within the families tab, there's some different sections to help keep you organized. Some are active, inactive, and then these services complete people are people who have gone through all of the phases. This is the property owners tab. Looks really similar. We also have inactive and inactive. So that helps you if a property owner doesn't want to participate or isn't a property owner anymore, you can kind of put them over on the inactive tab, get them out of your way. And same thing with units. You can sort them by ones that are available and ones that aren't available. Um, I know this is a lot right at once. You haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna do a demo. But are there any questions for me before I jump into that?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna share my screen then. And as I'm going through this, if you need me to slow down or if you have a question, just feel free to jump in, interrupt me. I can't see you guys too well when I'm sharing my screen. So yeah, don't hesitate to do that. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So when you log in, this is what you'll see. You actually won't see these two buttons because that's for the enrollment team, but you will see the service delivery tool button, and that's where you're going to go. So this is mainly where you'll be working from. You see here, this is the test version, so I'm not showing you any actual data. You'll get access to the test version of the tool in the beginning, so you can like practice, play around with it, all with fake information. And then once you feel like you're ready and you've reviewed all of the necessary materials, then you'll get live tool accounts with the real people in your site. So this just is a way to immediately tell which one you're working on. So this is that dashboard that I had some screenshots up of. This is the families tab. I'm just going to filter it to Los Angeles. I have everyone here, but it'll be a little easier for you to look at. So I have active families. It says here what phase they're in. This is the date that I have last initiated a contact with them. So that's a helpful way to keep track of that. This tells you who conducted the last contact. And then this is that assigned to. So since this is fake data, they don't all have it, but for you, each person will be assigned to a specific coach in most cases. You can search here, so you can kind of search by anything. You can search by someone's name, and then it'll limit to that. Or if you need to isolate somebody in a specific phase, you can show me, you can say 4, and then that'll only show you people who are in phase 4. If you only want to see people who are assigned to a specific person, you can do it that way too. So search bar is helpful. These are everybody who's active. So that means they're currently receiving services. They're like actively engaging with the team. Their plan is to move or to attempt to move. So these are kind of like your ongoing cases. Then we have this inactive tab. There's nobody here from Los Angeles right now. And I'll explain a little bit more about what that means, but essentially these are people who either are no longer eligible for the program, meaning they don't have a voucher anymore. They've told you definitively that they are not interested in participating, and so they're like basically off of your radar. You don't have to worry about contacting them anymore. They're going to contact you if they change their mind. Or if people, or these are people who have been put into CMRS, you've reached out to them, and then you just haven't heard from them in a long time, like several months. You can move them to inactive. Don't worry about remembering that because it's written in a lot of places. This services complete tab, like I mentioned, it's people who have gone through all of the 7 phases. So people who are in services complete are also always going to be in phase 7. Most of the time, this means they've successfully moved. They've gone through all the phases with you. They've identified a unit, applied to the unit, been accepted, and have moved in. Then they're kind of in the services complete bucket, hanging out until it's time to do like a post-move check-in with them, which happens annually. Other times, there will be people who are in the process of looking for a unit, and then they realize this doesn't make sense for me right now. I want to wait until my child finishes school, or I need to wait until like my parent has better health or something like that. We call those people search paused, and they go in this category as well. So it's different than inactive. They're sort of just like on hold, but you're still paying attention to them a little bit, but not as much as you are to your active case list. And I'll go over that also because I know the distinctions can be a little confusing. So then we have this property owners tab. This is where you enter property owners. So the families get automatically put in this service tool. You never have to like be entering a family or anything like that. They're automatically going to come in. They're going to be in this phase 1 study enrollment category. but the property owners you do have to enter. So, yeah, these are all going to be entered by you. And I can limit this to Los Angeles also. Same thing with units. You're going to be manually entering units, and you can't enter a unit unless there's already a property owner within the tool. So they kind of go hand in hand. Sometimes you might identify a unit and you don't know the property owner or the management company yet. In that case, you kind of put in like a placeholder property owner, but the tool is set up in a way where it won't let you enter a unit unless you have someone or something entered as the property owner. Um, and I think, yeah, you can, these are only the available units, these are the unavailable units. There's some logic within the tool that will automatically move a unit over from available to unavailable if you indicate that somebody else has applied to it and been accepted, or you can manually change a unit back and forth from available to unavailable. This owner outreach tab, you don't really have to worry about. This was in the original design, but it doesn't end up really getting used very much. This is like where you could record if you held some sort of owner outreach event, like a meeting, or if you had like a tent somewhere and like a community event. That's where you log this, but people don't really use it very much. So really, you mainly have to worry about these three tabs here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and demonstrate what a process would look like. I'm going to start by entering a new property owner. So that happens up here. Um, this is kind of out of order, but I just want to, actually, I take that back. I'm going to start by doing the family process in the order that it would happen. So I'm going to start with this person, William Brown. They've just finished study enrollment. I see them. They come into the tool. They would probably be at the top in most cases. Um, so I'm going to go into their file, and this is that household report that I was talking about. So the household report is basically mainly where you're going to be working from. It has all of these sections. They're all going to be empty right now because nothing's happened to him yet. But this is really where you're working from. There's also this household information form. So in a lot of cases, this will be where you start. It gives you kind of just a snapshot of information about them, their enrollment date, how many days it's been since they enrolled. This is their status. Right now, this person is active. Um, and then it has some fields that you'll probably be filling out like as you go through services with them. It has a contact information section. So if you're trying to schedule something with them and you realize you have wrong contact information, they tell you it's different, you can fill that in here. Same thing if they tell you that they have a different name, preferred name, you could put that in here. This gives you more information about their whole household. So it gives you if they have another adult in the household with them, and one or more children. You can also edit these or add a new household member if you learn from someone that like they've had a baby or somebody's moved out of the house. And then this is where you can record information about their income and their voucher. So when you're meeting with them for the first time, you'll probably learn about their current gross income, when they got their voucher, when their voucher expired. If you don't hear this from them, I think sometimes you get it directly from the housing authority. I'm not 100% clear on that, but this is just a place where you can record that information so that you always have it in an accessible place as you're providing services. And then these two kind of come into play after they're more along in the process. Okay, so the the first phase is phase two, like I said, and that is a pre-move appointment. So once someone enters the service tool, your first course of action is to reach out to them and start to schedule a pre-move appointment. So to do that, you would say begin contact now if you're going to be sending them an email or giving them a call. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to say that this was an email I sent to them. I'm reaching out to schedule pre-move appointment. This was an email, so it's pretty quick. I'm going to say it took me 15 minutes. It was initiated by me. And then you can indicate your name if you were doing this contact so that your other teammates could see that. In this case, I'm going to leave it blank. And then I'm going to end that contact. Now you see that William Brown has automatically moved into phase 2. Me doing a contact with them has kind of like jump-started the process, so now they're in phase 2. Let's say a day or so later, I hear back from William and they say, yeah, I'm free for a pre-move appointment tomorrow. In that case, I'm going to go to schedule a contact. This is going to happen. Let's see, he's going to come into my office. It's going to be in person. It's going to be tomorrow at, you can say 3:30. And we're going to do the pre-move appointment during this contact. It's probably going to take about an hour. I can put an estimate there, and it's me initiating it. All right, then I'm going to schedule this. Now, when I'm back on my dashboard, this just popped up for me as a scheduled contact. So I can always look up here and it'll tell me like what contacts I have coming up scheduled in the future. So let's say it's tomorrow. I'm getting ready for my contact with William. We're going to do the pre-move appointment. I can click on that and I have to click this begin contact now button. And that sort of has like launched the contact. Now the service tool knows I'm in the room with William. I'm having a contact with him. This is like an active engagement with them that I'm having. If anything changed, like the method or whatever, I can edit that in the moment. If for whatever reason I prepped this thinking William was going to come in and then they ended up not showing up, I could mark here that the contact was unsuccessful and the tool would tell me that. And then I would reach out again to William and try and get a new scheduled contact on the calendar. So since I'm in a contact now, I have the ability to start activity forms. The way to start any activity forms is always within a contact. After you like open up an activity form within a contact, you can go back in and edit it whether or not you're in an active contact, but the first time you open an activity form always has to be within a contact. And that's just how the tool makes sure that someone isn't, just like filling in a whole bunch of activities that haven't actually happened. It's limited to you have to start the activity when you're with a participant or talking to a participant. So since I'm in phase 2, the pre-move appointment is going to come up as a suggested activity because the tool knows that I'm in phase 2. If for whatever reason I needed to access another activity that wasn't in this phase, I could go to this all activities button, and then it's going to show me a drop down of all of the activities that are within CMRS. I'll get to this in a second, but you can also change the phase of the household, and you have to do that manually. It's not automatic. And that's also something that you can only do within a contact. So if you do an appointment with somebody, you end the contact, and then you realize, oh, I forgot to change the phase of the household, you're going to have to do another contact to change the phase. And that happens a lot. It's not a huge deal. You just use the notes feature to say, like, not a real contact, just changing the phase. But for right now, I'm going to do the pre-move appointment because presumably William's in the room with me. And so this is going to open up the pre-move appointment form. It's a long form. It has all of these collapsible sections. And I'm going to conduct this appointment with them. So it gives me their current address, information, and then I kind of just ask them some questions. Why did the household choose to participate? I fill in the answers, fill in the answers, fill in the answers, any notes. Save that. This is also just some more background information about their current situation. More details about these specific activities are in the CMRS guide from First Pick, and questions about like specifically like purpose of activities, what to talk about in activities, that's where they come in. but all of like the data entry is here. So for sake of just keeping things brief, I'm just going to kind of be filling these out. Um, Opportunity area education, here's where you're going to record areas of your region that are opportunity areas that the person is potentially interested in. So you can select as many as make sense for this person. Select some here. This is where you would put in like, they need a 2-bedroom, would like pet friendly. If there is barriers to moving related to credit score, their rental history, or any existing legal issues, that sort of thing, you would record that here. And then if you need to refer them to a future workshop, like a housing search workshop or a renter's workshop, you can mark that as well. These are required. This affordability section is something that you do outside of the tool. There's like a calculator that you have from either HACLA or First Pick, and you're gonna do that exercise with the family, make sure the family's aware of their affordability level, and discuss what neighborhoods make sense. Um, you give the family a copy of these steps. That also happens offline, or I think you print or PDF. So you make sure that the family knows what has to happen before they move, if that's a workshop, if that's, working on their credit some other way, that sort of thing. You can list out the steps that they're going to do here. You can confirm if there's been any change between this first section and the second section in terms of opportunity areas that they're interested in. You can put updated selections here. Any other notes? If they have a target move date, you can put that in. And when they want to start actively searching and receiving unit referrals. So let's say maybe that's the end of this month. Okay, I'm gonna save that. In real life, this would have taken longer. Sometimes your pre-move appointment needs to be broken into 2 separate appointments depending on how high need the family is, how much there is to talk about. But for sake of this, I finished doing the appointment with William. I'm going to finish this activity. I'm still within this contact form. Um, and now, since I've completed the pre-move appointment, you see that it kind of turns green. And since the pre-move appointment is the only step in phase 2, I can now change this phase of William over to phase 3. So I'm going to do that here. It gives me a drop down. I'm going to say that he's now in the family preparation phase because he's completed the pre-move appointment with me. So I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to end the contact. Any questions about that?
No questions here.
Okay, great. Okay, so William's now in phase 3. You can see here it says that they had a phase transition. It gives me the timestamp of when that happened, so that's helpful for me to just know, keeping a history. I don't have any more scheduled contacts with him. And if I go to activity history, I can see everything that I just did with him during the pre-move appointment. So if something changes, if he says, I said I needed a 2-bedroom, but I think we'll also be fine with a 1-bedroom, I can open this back up and I can change this to 1-bedroom. Super easy. I don't have to do this within a contact anymore now that I've filled out the activity form initially. It's there always for me to return to and look at and edit and do whatever I need. Okay, So I'm going to go through phase 3 now. In real life, I would be scheduling contacts, then initiating those contacts, but for sake of demonstration, I'm just going to go right into beginning the contacts. So this is another contact I'm having with them. Right now, we're doing it over a video session, and this is for phase 3. And it's going to give me some suggested activities again, so like the housing search workshop, referrals to address barriers. If I want to go to this all activities drop down again, I can look at that. I'm going to do one of the workshops. Yes, they attended the money management workshop. They attended it. This is in the future, but let's say this is when they attended it. And then any notes here that I would need. Um, while I'm here, I'm going to see what else needs to happen in phase 3. This final family preparation check-in is what happens when the family's done everything for pre-search. So if that was the only workshop that William had to go to, other than that, he was good to start, then it would be ready for me to do the final family preparation check-in. So in this case, I'm going to say, William checked off all steps and they're ready to start searching and applying for units. I'm going to finish this activity. And now, since I'm within the contact, I'm going to go ahead and change William from phase 3 into phase 4. Phase 4 is kind of the biggest phase. It lasts the longest. It's some people stay in it for a few weeks, some people stay in it for several months. It's kind of the active search part of CMRS where you're reaching out to owners, making referrals for units, assisting with applications. People might be viewing units. All those sorts of things go in phase 4. Um, I'm not an expert, but there in the past has been some confusion about like move vouchers because I think I'll pause on this actually. I think that that is an activity. Yes, requesting a move voucher. So this is one activity that kind of is a limbo between phase 3 and phase 4. And First Pick will be able to talk more specifically about this. But in the past there were some issues because a move voucher was being requested too soon. And then by the time the family was like actually in phase 4, too much time had gone by. So I think this is technically a phase 3 activity, but our guidance is that you complete this activity, you request a move voucher whenever it makes sense for the person and their specific timeline. Yeah. So just noting that. Okay, I'm going to finish this activity and now I am going to change the phase of the household to phase 4. And I'm going to end this contact. Okay, I'm going to pause here and go over to the property owner and unit side of the service tool. I'm going to enter a property owner with a unit, and then that's what I'm going to use going forward for William Brown's search process. So I'm going to go up here and add a new property owner. This is for Los Angeles. I'm going to say that this is just I can put contact information if I have that. If there's a contact address, not the unit address, this is the address where I would contact the property owner. I can put that in here. Depending on what their role is, if they're the actual owner, if they're just a manager. And then some questions here. If I know if they've previously rented to a housing authority, if they are familiar with a mobility program, if it's a large development or if it's something small. If I know how receptive they are to renting to voucher holders, I can put that in here. Other things like that. And then it's going to ask you if you want to mark the property owner as inactive. You would say yes to this if you know that this property owner is likely to not want to rent, although in that case you probably wouldn't be entering them in the tool in the first place. Um, or if like you, sorry, I have some crazy background noise. I don't know if you could hear it. Um, if you enter them and then they tell you, I actually don't have anything available right now, but I might have something available in a few months, you can mark them as inactive for the time being and then like check in with them later, move them over to active once they have things that are ready to go. But for right now, I'm not going to mark this person as inactive because they have available unit. So I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go over to the units tab and I'm going to add a new unit. So, and I live in Boston, so I always kind of just put random addresses in to find something in another city because I'm not familiar. Um, this is important. It will turn green and highlight if it's an opportunity area. If you try and enter an address that is not with, oh, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my computer just did a weird thing. Okay. If you try to put in an address that's not within the designation of an opportunity area, it's going to turn red and it actually won't let you enter the unit because the tool has like a whole geocoding thing, so it knows this is in an opportunity area, this one isn't an opportunity area. Sometimes it can be annoying if you're trying to put in something that's like right on the cusp, the tool won't let you do it. If you're entering something and you think it's a mistake, like it should be in an opportunity area or it should be in a different opportunity area than what's showing up, you can let us know. We can fix that on the back end, but for the most part, it's pretty good with the geography coding. So it won't let you like do a mistake or anything. Um, it has you fill out some information about the unit. This is where you're going to put in that property owner. So I'm going to put in the person who I just entered. I identified this unit, let's say last week. It's a 2-bed. It has 1 bathroom. It's an apartment. No washer and dryer. Pets are allowed. It has a small yard. Um, you can put in the contract rent if you know it. You can put in the security deposit amount if you know it. If you're aware of like how the utility breakdown is, you can put that in here. Any other general notes, like if I want to say this is handicap accessible, I can put that in here. And I'm going to confirm whether or not it's available right now. If it's not available, but I know it's going to become available in a month, I can put that date in here. But for right now, I'm going to say it is available. And then I'm going to save that. So now I have to find it now. This one. Now I have that unit here that I just entered. And under property owners, I have the owner who I just entered. So now I sort of have those locked and ready to go. Kind of separate. Like my understanding is that the leasing coordinator a lot of times is on the property owner side, and a coach is going to be working more on the family side. That's not always the case. A lot of sites kind of end up sharing roles, or like aren't fully staffed. But most cases, those like, it's not like you'll be with a family having to stop, do a property owner entry. They'll kind of be happening like separately and simultaneously. Okay, so now that that's done, actually, I'm going to show you more of the owner. Okay, so the property owner also has their own property owner report, just like the household report, except it has a little bit less information, but it still has a lot of information. So it tells you basically everything that you put in here about what you know about the unit. If this property owner has more than one unit, they'll all show up here. and then this is a hyperlink. So I usually open in a new tab, and then it can take me directly to the unit report, which is helpful. Um, I'm going to touch on disbursements a little bit later. Just like with households, you also do property owner contacts. Um, they happen a little bit less frequently, but it's a similar structure where there are property owner activities that you do, and those can only happen within a contact. So I'll demo one of those. I'm going to begin a contact. Let's say this is just over the phone. And this is going to be an initial contact. I reached out to them during outreach to see if they were receptive. They told me they were. I entered them in the tool, and now I'm going to reach out to them again just to kind of confirm some things, learn some more about them, get a sense of which families might be a good fit for this unit. So I'm going to check off anything I talk about here. I can say if this was made on behalf of a particular family or if I was just kind of doing some general work with them. Some notes. And I'm going to end that contact. And now when I go to this property owner report, I will see this contact that I had with them right here. It'll tell me what I discussed with them, any other notes that I put in. Yeah. Um, on the unit side, there's no activities because you can't do an activity or a contact with the unit, but it does have this report. Once I refer households to this unit, all of those households will show up here on the bottom here. And any security deposit that I issue on behalf of this unit or a holding fee that I issue on behalf of this unit will also show up here in list form. So I'll show you what that looks like in action. So I'm going to go back to my families tab. And now I'm working with William Brown. They're in phase 4. That means they're actively working on searching. And here's where some disbursements might come into play. So each household has a budget of $750. And if I want to enter a disbursement, I use this disbursement tracker button. So I'm going to say that this is an application fee. They're going to apply to a unit. Application fee is $50 and we paid it today. And oh, sorry, hold on. I messed up. Before I can do that, I have to make them a referral. So basically everything that happens in phase 4 has to be sparked by a referral because most of the phase 4 activities are going to ask you for specific property owners and for specific units. So I'm going to go ahead and begin a contact. This is going to be over the phone. And I'm going to give them a referral to this unit that I just learned about. So it's this unit referral activity. I'm going to put in, I hope I remember what unit this was. This was it. Okay. So I'm going to click on or type in the unit that I entered. It's going to give me some information about this. If I don't know the unit off the top of my head, I can do this housing match thing over here, which is really helpful. I can use these to search a specific opportunity area or a specific number of bedrooms, bathrooms. So if I don't have a unit in mind already that I'm going to refer to this participant, I can use this housing match thing and just like see what I have that's available. The contract rent will show up here also if that's something I put in so I can see if it's in an affordable range for the person or not. In this case, I didn't enter it, but I probably would in real life. So I'm going to say, okay, this looks like a good fit. I'm going to do this one, close it, and then I'm going to put that in here. It's going to ask you the source of the referral. In most cases, it'll be from you. It'll be you finding a unit, finding an owner, making a referral. In some other cases, the family might come to you and say, I was doing some research on Zillow. I found this unit, looks like a really good fit. Can you help me? When that happens, you totally can. You just have to enter the unit and the owner into the service tool so that you can like formally record the referral in the tool like I'm doing now. Say when the referral happened, they have high interest level. You can say if they've toured it. In this case, they haven't toured it yet, but they are gonna apply. I did apply. I did help them with the application. That was 2 days ago. Um, you don't have to finish filling this out. You just have to start it and then save it. So for this case, I don't know if the application was accepted or denied yet, because they just submitted it. So I'm gonna leave that blank for now. And then instead of hitting finish activity, I'm just gonna hit save. And I'm going to end this contact. All right. So before or right after I make the referral and complete the referral form in the tool, I can issue them a disbursement for the application fee. So I'm going to select application fee, put in the amount, the date, and now the tool knows, okay, well, you made a referral to this household for this unit. So is this the unit that the application fee is for? And most times it's going to be yes. The property owner is already going to be filled in for you. And then you could put any notes here that you need. Then once I save that, sometimes it's weird. You have to refresh it. So now in the disbursement history, it's going to show me here. I've given them $50. Their budget's $750. Here's the disbursement. It was on the 11th. It was an application fee, and here are the details. So this disbursement history section kind of shows you just like a cumulative history of any disbursements that you issue to the participant. So then let's say a few days go by and I hear from William that his application was accepted. So I'm going to go back into my activity history. I'm going to locate this unit referrals activity form that I started, and I'm going to edit it. It's going to want me to put the referral in again. If I don't remember the address off the top of my head, it'll also show it right here. So you can click on it and it'll fill it in for you. He told me the application was accepted, so I'm going to put that in here. And then I'm going to finish the activity. Since now I'm done with that, he applied, he got accepted, that referral form is complete. Now, if I go to this unit, I think I might have to do this again. If I go to the unit that I just referred him to, here we go. Well, that didn't work, but it's supposed to automatically become unavailable. I wonder if it's just lagging. But you will see William Brown here listed in the lists of households referred. So when I'm looking at the unit, I can see that I've already referred somebody to this. Okay, so William told me the application was accepted. That's great. But now it's possible that I have to issue a disbursement to the property owner. So I'm going to go to the property owner and I'm going to begin a contact with him. I'm going to say, I heard that William's application was accepted. That's great. So glad to hear that. And I'm going to I'm going to do a holding fee so that they'll hold the unit from now until we can get William fully leased up. So the unit's in the drop down. The head of household is William. That should come up. And I'm going to it's going to be $1,000 as a holding fee. This is, again, I could leave this blank for now and come back to it if I get more information, if the family ends up backing out of the lease. For now, I'm going to leave it blank. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to end that contact. So now on the property owner report in the disbursement history, I see the application fee that I did on the household side, but it shows up here because it was associated with this owner. And then I also see the holding fee that was paid directly to the owner. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything here. Okay. Great.
I have a
So,
question.
yeah.
So for like that holding fee, do we still track it if the payment did not come from us as a reimbursement? Like if it was just paid by the household themselves, do we still put it in here?
No, that's a good question.
Okay.
You mean if like the household paid a holding fee out of pocket?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't have to track that. You can just like put that in a note. Like that might be something helpful to put in your referral activity note here. Like you might want to just say like holding fee paid by household or something like
Okay.
that. But the disbursement history is really just to track what what you're paying on behalf of the households.
Okay, because I noticed it said $1,000, but I thought we only had like 750 as a
Oh,
max.
yes, that is a great question. So only some of the disbursements count in that 750 budget. I'll show
Okay.
you, I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
So when you are on the household report and you go to the disbursement tracker, these purposes that come up, there's application fee, processing fees, public transportation,
Hmm.
coaches discretionary, all of those have to stay under $750.
Oh, I see.
But anything that you're doing on the property owner page, a holding fee, a lease up bonus,
Hmm.
a security deposit, those don't have a budget. That's just,
I see.
whatever it is. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Thank you.
that's a good question. Thanks. I meant to clarify that.
No, I think I knew that. I just got confused when I saw it in a list form like this.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So I think now, so that's the main part of phase four. A lot of times it takes multiple referrals, talking to multiple landlords, that sort of thing. It's not as quick as that. But if you were to get to this point, um, you could move this household since their application has been accepted. You could move them to phase five, which is kind of like the lease up phase. Just want to flag there is this ongoing check-in activity. Like I said, a lot of times the phase four is a really long phase. And so that ongoing check-in activity is just something that you can use like as the household is in their searching process. Just ad hoc check-ins. You can always open up this activity form and just like put in any notes here. Um, and then you can save it, finish it, and then this will give you like a blank form every time. So if I put in like household happy, application accepted, and then I'm going to finish that. If I put this up again, it'll give me another blank. It'll give me a blank one. So I can do like an ongoing check-in activity form as many times as I need. Or if I need to edit one that I already did, I can click on this date here and it would pull up old the old form that I completed. Um, so just mentioning that because that's kind of a weird activity where it's like pretty casual. There's no like set questions. It's just kind of like an as needed thing for you to record interactions. All right, so I'm going to change this household over to phase five. I have to do the method. In that contact. Okay, so now William is in phase 5, which is the lease-up phase. I'm going to open another contact, and this is going to be in person. We're going to do the search outcome form. Let's say it's going to take 20 minutes. Okay, so there are 2 activities in phase 5. One is flexible financial support. So that's any disbursements that you need to make for the family, like while they're in the lease up process. So if that's, they need public transportation so that they can get to the unit and take measurements or look at it or whatever, that could fall into this category. Other things like that. So it will take you directly to the disbursement tracker. This activity form is kind of like just another place for you to be logging a disbursement if you want to be able to specifically attribute it to their lease up phase. Just mentioning that. But the main thing that you're going to do when a family is in phase 5 is you're going to complete the search outcome form. Um, and this is probably the most important activity form to make sure that you fill out in the tool, because this is what we're going to be using to track our outcome, which is search outcome. So this is what the form looks like, and then I'm going to go through it because it has like some logic built in. So depending on how you answer, it'll show you some fields versus if you answer a different way, it'll show you different fields. So it's going to ask you if the search time was extended. A lot of times this answer will be yes. And then it's going to ask you the search outcome. So for William's situation here, he just got his application accepted. All signs are pointing to that he's moving to an opportunity area. This would be after the lease has been signed, by the way. So he signed the lease, he's moving to an opportunity area. The address is this 45 6th Street. This should also pop up for you. He's going to be moving July 1st. And that means expected date of next check-in. That's going to be the monthly post-move check-in. So it doesn't have to be exact, but most likely if he's moving on July 1st, I'm going to try and get in contact with him first week of August, let's say August 2nd. I can put in any notes here that make sense for this. And then I would finish this activity and he'd be done with phase 5. If this was a different participant and they hadn't moved, let's say they said to me, this process has been really crazy. I'm not finding anything. I'm not getting accepted to any units. I think I'm just going to move to a different unit, but not something that's in an opportunity area. You're going to indicate that here. You're going to put in, if you know it, the reason why the household decided not to move to an opportunity area. It could be that they just got rejected too many times. It was too expensive for them in reality, something like that. Then you have these options here. So this is relating to what I was talking about a little bit in the beginning. So the participant might not have ever even began the housing search. That means they were enrolled, they were in the tool, you did a pre-move appointment with them maybe, and then they sort of just like hung out in phase 3, but they never got across the finish line to a point where they were ready to start receiving referrals from you, start applying to units, start touring units. They never made it to like that active search phase. So you could mark that here, and then it's going to ask you to explain. So you could say something like, participant never requested a move voucher or something like that. Or you could say that they were in the housing search phase, they were in phase 4, they were ready to get referrals, they were ready to apply, and then they decided for whatever reason it just didn't make sense for them right now. So I said a little bit about this in the beginning, but it could be like they decided it makes sense for them to wait for the end of the school year because they don't want to pull their child out of school. Or, they had a family emergency happen where it turns out they have to move in with their parent and take care of them or something like that. So that happens. Also, a lot of times people just don't give a reason. They just say to you, I don't want to move right now. I don't want to keep doing this. And then they fall into this category. So it's housing search is interrupted or paused, and the participant's the one initiating that. So I'm going to give an example here. Wants to move after school year ends. If the participant is falling into one of these categories where it's like they didn't make it through the whole process sort of situation. Oh, sorry. This would probably be for not moving, but you get the idea. Depending on like the specific situation, the participant might say, I'm not interested for a long period of time. And then you could say, all right, well, I'm just going to I'll check in with them 5 or 6 months from now just to check in, see if they've changed their mind. Or if it's something more concrete, like I want to move, it just needs to be after the school year ends for my child, then you can say, okay, great. When does the school year end? It ends it ends next June. Okay, I'm going to put that date. So this expected date of next check-in is kind of just, it can be tailored specifically to the participant's situation. I'm trying to think what else I have to say about this. So yeah, like I said, sometimes it's a non-opportunity area move that ends up that ends up being falling into one of these categories. Other times the participant decides, I'm actually not going to move right now. It doesn't make sense for me. I'm just going to renew my existing lease. And they could also fall into one of these categories. But I'm just going to continue filling this out for William, and I'm going to in his case, he is moving to an opportunity area. The next check-in is going to be August 1st, and I'm going to finish this activity. All right, so once I've completed the search outcome, I'm going to change the phase to phase 6, which is post-move check-in. You'll see this reminder reminding me to complete the search outcome activity. In this case, I already did it. And I'll talk about this more in detail after I go through William. But if somebody does decide in phase 3 or phase 4 that they're not going to be moving to an opportunity area or just period, you're going to actually take them from phase 4 or 3 or whatever they are to phase 7. So they're going to skip over phase 5, phase 6. And that's why this little reminder is here, because how I mentioned, the search outcome form is a really important data form for you to fill out. Even if a family isn't in the lease up phase, which is where this form lives, we still want you to always be filling out a search outcome form for a family if they're going to be like quote unquote ending their services. So if they're going from phase 4 to phase 7, they're not moving right now, you're going to do a search outcome form regardless to tell us that that's the situation. Okay. Now they are in phase 6. I would close out this contact and open a new one, but just so I can show you what happens in phase 6, I'm going to keep this contact open. So phase 6 is for the 1 month post-move check-in, which is a home visit. So it's this pretty long form, and this is made to match exactly what's in the CMRS guide. But you're going to do this home visit, or somebody on your team is going to do this home visit 1 month after a family moves to an opportunity area. So you're going to check this off. You're going to fill everything out. You're going to put the date that this happened. Let's say this did happen August 1st. Any notes here? Did they find this? You're going to indicate if there are unmet needs, things like that. I can't remember if it's going to, like it's gonna make
And
me.
this is an in-person appointment? You have to go to their home, you can't do it over a phone call or a video?
My understanding was that it is a home visit, but there might be flexibility on that that I'm not aware of. So that's
Okay,
definitely something to ask first pick, and it also might be site specific. I'm not
okay.
sure. Yeah.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think that in some cases this can be virtual if it makes sense. Just going through, filling out all these. If the household seems like they could use another referral, like for credit coaching or legal services, you can do that here too. And I'm going to finish this activity. That's everything in phase 6. It's a pretty quick phase because it's usually just like from the period of moving to the post-move check-in. So I'm going to move this family over now to phase 7. I'm going to get this pop-up again, just reminding me again to fill out the search outcome activity form if I haven't. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to end this contact. So now William is in this services complete category because if you're in phase 7, you are, I think it should be at least, yeah, you are in that services complete category. So I can still go into his household report and everything. And here I have a full history of all of the phase transitions that he's done. I have a full history by phase of all of the activity forms I filled out. I can view them, I can edit them. I did the post move check in. I see all of the contacts I've conducted with him and what activities I did with each contact. I see the disbursement history, and then I see the unit or units that I made referrals for. So this would be a situation where William Brown has gone through the whole process, successfully made an opportunity area move, and now my only next thing with him would be an annual post-move check-in. So if I wanted to conduct that, let's say a full calendar year has gone by, I can begin a contact, and let's say this is just over phone, annual check-in, and I'd be filling this out where William will have been in the new unit for a year or around a year. It could be like 9 months, 10 months. And I'd be recording everything here. And then after that, there you go. After that, William would kind of just chill out in the services complete section and the demonstration goes for however many years. I just sort of keep him loosely on my radar, checking in with him on an annual basis. Um, Okay, so once a family goes through the entire process, they're in phase 7, they've either moved or they've not moved. Um, it's possible that I could talk to William a year or 2 years after he moves, and he might say, this unit was great for these past couple years, but now I want to move again. And because he is in the demonstration, he's eligible for mobility services until the end of the demonstration. So someone can always decide they want to move again. Since William had sort of gone through the whole process, and if a year or 2 years had gone by, it would probably make sense for me to sort of like start from scratch with him. So there are a couple ways to do that, but the one that would that you're most typically going to do is within a contact, if you're doing a check-in and William says, "Okay, I'd like to move. I'd like to do a new move." What I can do is just gonna fill this out. It makes you fill all of these fields out, so sometimes you have to just put things in. Um, I would change the phase and I'd put him back to 2. Then I'm going to get this pop-up and it says, do you want to resume an existing search or do you want to begin a new search? Since William went through the whole process and he moved and he's been in that new unit for a year or more, chances are he's going to want to begin a new search. So for this case, I'm going to select new search. That's going to end the contact and it's kind of going to launch William back over here to my active caseload and he's going to be back in the pre-move appointment phase. When I open up his household report, I'm going to have like a whole new blank slate. But obviously he's the same person. I probably want to see the old information from 2 years ago when I was working with him to have him move. So I can click on this household report for search 1 and it's going to give me like a read-only version of everything that I did with William during his first search. So I can still look at like what he said his barriers were at the time 2 years ago when he was trying to move. I can still look at what he was able to afford 2 years ago when he was trying to move, all that. Um, okay. So that's kind of like picture perfect scenario. Somebody goes through a process, they move, maybe they decide to move again a few years later. Most times that's not necessarily going to be, it's not necessarily going to be like that. Usually what's going to happen is you will have somebody like, I'm going to just select someone here. So this person, Maddie, they're in phase 3. They transitioned to phase 3. Let's say it was a couple months ago at this point. And I check in with them and they say, you know, this just kind of feels like it's too much for me right now. I have a lot going on. It doesn't make sense for me to move right now. I don't think I want to move. I don't think I want to like start searching. That's fine. In that case, I'm going to move them over to phase 7. So I'm going to change their phase. And since they're pretty confident, they don't want to move, maybe later, but they're not really sure, I'm going to put them in phase 7 completed search. And then I'm going to say, oh, wait, I forgot to do their search outcome activity. I can't move them yet. Oh. So I'm going to go to all activities. I'm going to locate the search outcome activity and I'm going to fill this out as appropriate. In this case, Maddie told me they did not want to move. And they never really even began the housing search if they told me that in phase 3. They were kind of like getting ready, they were doing some preparation, and then they realized this doesn't make sense for me right now. So I'm going to say realized in phase 3 that moving was too much for them right now. I might say to them, okay, totally understand that. Is there a time period in the future that you want me to check back in with you and see if the timing's a little bit better? And they could say, yeah, 3-4 months from now, I think I'll be in a better place. Or they might say, no, I have no idea. I don't think it's going to be for a while. Depending on that answer, I can put in a tentative future date of next check-in. In this case, I'm going to say it's in a couple months, maybe once the school year starts and everything. So I'm going to fill that out. As much detail as I need to put here, I'm going to put. Then I'm going to finish that search outcome form and change them to phase 7. Now I'm going to end this contact. And now I have this person over and services complete also. It's a little bit of a different situation though than I had with William because this person didn't actually move, so I don't have any post-move check-in to do. I don't have like an official annual check-in to do with them either. It's sort of like I have on my radar that when September comes, I'm going to check in with them and see if their status changed, but it's more flexible or a little bit more fluid than it would be if they had gone through the full process and actually made an opportunity area move. But again, even though somebody doesn't move or if they move to a non-opportunity area, they are still in the program, they're still in the treatment group, so they can change their mind at any point and are eligible for services. So let's say it becomes September. I decide to give Maddie Wolf a call to see if a situation has changed. And they say that, yeah, actually, work's smoothed out a little bit. So they think that they are in a place to try and move to an opportunity area now. So in that case, I'm going to change their phase. I'm going to say, okay, since only a few months have gone by, I think it probably makes sense for you to just be back in phase 3. We've already talked about your housing needs, your barriers. Probably not a ton has changed in the past few months. It's only been 3 or 4 months. So I'm going to put you in phase 3. I'm going to get this pop up again. And this is always going to be participant specific and, using your best judgment, what makes the most sense. But for this person, I'm going to say, I don't actually think I need to start a whole new search from scratch. It hasn't been that much time. I'm just going to resume the existing search. And now when I go to their household report, like that didn't go through. So I see that they did a transition from phase 7 to phase 3. This tells me that they're back in. But I think that yeah, so I have to go to the household information form and I have to manually change them over from services complete to active services. And that's just to make sure they're showing up on the right part of my dashboard. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to save and then I'm going to return to the household report. Um, okay. That's pretty much everything. There's one other way to do like that whole new search or resume search thing. And that is if somebody is inactive, like let's say they were unresponsive, and then they reach out to me, I can go in and change their status from inactive back to active. And then if I save this, I'll get the same pop-up saying, hey, we saw this person was inactive, now they're back to active. Has it been a really long time? Do they need a fresh search? Or were they like kind of already along in the process and you can just resume their existing search? So again, you pick whichever one makes the most sense. And then, yeah, you go from there. Um, I know that was a lot of information probably. Any immediate questions, anything like I can go over again, maybe slower, anything you feel like maybe I missed?
I think we're okay right now.
Okay. Okay, great. So that's all I had planned for the actual service tool demonstration, but I have a couple more slides that I'm just gonna put up. Demo. Okay. Um, so these are the phases. I just went through all of these, and like I said, there's detail about these in the tool in the guide that I sent you, and then there's more details about these like procedure wise and what they mean and do's and don'ts and that sort of thing in materials that you'll get from First Pick.
Okay.
Um, I went over this in the tool, but again, you can't delete property owners from the service tool, so that's why we have that inactive category to sort of just scoot them over if they're not actively participating. This is the household status. So I didn't really go through super in depth what each of these, sorry, what each of these categories mean. But I have that written out here. So active, pretty self-explanatory. It's just active. Completed services is when a family has either moved, completed the process, or they've had their search paused or interrupted. And the status will be applied once a family gets into phase 7, or if a family's moved to a non-opportunity area, they're also in phase 7 and they have this status. If I'm inactive, it's different than completed services because it's it means like it's kind of a difficult distinction. Completed services is like the family is not actively receiving services from me right now, but they're on my radar and I have an action to take in the short term or medium term future. Whether that's I'm checking in with them in a couple months from now to see if their situation's changed, or I'm checking in with them in a full year for their annual check in. I have an action on my to do list with any family that's in completed services. But for any family who's in inactive, I don't have anything to do with them. They're either completely no longer participating if they've lost eligibility. They haven't responded, and so it's not my responsibility anymore to keep reaching out to them if I can't get a hold of them. Rather, it's on them to reach back out to you if they'd like to reengage. Or they've requested no contact very strongly and permanently-ish. So it's different than saying, this doesn't work for me right now, I need to stop my search. It's more of a, I don't want to participate in this ever, please don't contact me again type of situation. So kind of borderline, but it's, context clues, you put them in whichever category you think makes the most sense for the situation. And nothing's permanent. If you put someone in the wrong category, you can always move them over. It's not the end of the world. Any questions about that?
No
No.
questions.
Okay,
No
great.
questions.
That was sort of, it's caused some confusion in the past with the distinction. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Okay, so I went over this beginning a new search, and this sort of just like reemphasizes that if someone wants to begin a new search, it's likely that they've moved but aren't happy with the situation still, or they had to pause the services for a while and now they want to start again. Um, Usually, this will be for participants who have been paused for a long time, probably over 6 months, but the timing can vary depending on the situation. Alternatively, if somebody is in that services complete category and they're going to resume an existing search, it's typically going to be for participants who have only been paused for a short period of time where a lot of like that background information and unique needs likely won't have changed all that much. Okay. Um, so I sent you this service tool user guide. Oh, sorry, I keep doing that. Um, I sent you the service tool user guide, so that is very long, I know, but should be helpful for getting more familiar with the tool. It sort of like outlines all of the sections. It can take you step by step by phases. So definitely look through that if you haven't already. Um, on the first pick TA site, I'm not sure if you've been given access to that, but it's the first pick site, and then there are like site specific sections on it, and there are site specific passwords. So if you haven't heard what that is, then you should reach out to Patricia. I'm sure she knows it.
Yeah, we've gotten
Um,
that.
okay, great. And then if you go to general resources, study team develop materials, and then training materials, you'll see a whole bunch of hyperlinks to a whole bunch of materials. And the key ones for you to look at are the service tool FAQs. And then there are these like quicker reference guides specifically for coaches who are going to be working on the household side, and then specifically for leasing coordinators who are going to be working more on the property owner and unit side. So you can download those. They're all PDFs. Just good to have on hand. And then this is our email. It's ccdstudy at apt. Oh, this needs to be updated. This will work, but it's technically apt global now. But I'll make sure that you have the updated information. You can also always email me. Um, we have this number. Typically, service providers don't use that, but if you do need like urgent assistance, you can always give us a call. And I can't remember if I put you on this invitation yet or not, but we do weekly office hours, which are just like very informal, usually not very heavily attended at this point in the demonstration. But they're every Thursday from 3 to 4 Eastern, so 12 to 1 Pacific. And you can just like come on and ask any question if like you are forgetting something or you need a demonstration of something or like you can't remember what to do with a participant in the service tool. Um, any questions like that, we have office hours.
Okay, yeah, I think we've gotten a calendar invite for that. The first one is tomorrow, so
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll need to get in there tomorrow, but
yeah, makes sense. Okay, and I think that I've already given you all test service tool access. Does that sound right? Maybe I haven't.
service tool access.
Yes, to that test. Also, sorry, I'm blurry.
Oh, I see. Um, I don't know. Do any
I
of you
can
know?
check.
I don't believe we have received that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Let me see. Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't add you yet. Okay, so I will do that. So you'll just get like an activation email. Um, then you'll follow the link. It'll have you set a password. It uses two-factor authentication that goes to your email that I have on file. So just, I'm sure I have all of your updated emails because I sent this invitation to it, but you'll just want to be logged into your email while you're trying to log in to the test tool. It's a security measure.
Okay.
Um, so I'll set you up with that. And then, yeah, it's like I said, all fake information. So you can play around, you can like yeah, do anything. Um, if it feels like you don't have enough people, you can let me know because I can add some new fake people to your fake site.
Okay.
Um, yes. And then, other than that, the only thing that we are encouraged to always say as many times as possible is if you are emailing me with any questions about service revision as you're like, starting to do it for real, just make sure that you're not sending me any information about real participants that includes name, first name, last name, date of birth, email, phone number, anything like that. Um, Here, I'll just pull this up really quickly so you can see. But everybody in the tool has a CCD ID number,
Hmm.
which is this right here. And so that's how you should always be referring to a participant when you're talking to the study team via email. If we're like live on the phone or in office hours, it's fine to say real names. But yeah, anything in writing, just always use the ID.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that's everything. I know this was kind of long, so thanks for bearing with me.
No, thanks so
Um,
much. This is really helpful.
Good. I'm so glad. Yeah, no problem. And sorry, I'm kind of glitching out here. All right. Yeah, so I'm sure that was a lot to absorb. Look at the materials that are on the First Pick site. If you think of any other questions, you can email me. You can come to office hours tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll set you guys up with the test tool logins, and then you'll be able to kind of do some of it for yourself. Um, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you all. It was great to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Thank
too.
you.
Talk
Have
to
a
you
good, take
later.
care. Bye.
Bye.